The 20th century saw the rise of car culture in America, transforming not just transportation but the very fabric of society. From the introduction of the Model T to the muscle cars of the 1960s and beyond, automobiles have played a central role in shaping American life, culture, and identity. The dawn of the 20th century marked the birth of the American automotive industry. Pioneers like Henry Ford revolutionized manufacturing with the assembly line, making cars more affordable and accessible to the average American. This democratization of automobile ownership would set the stage for the car-centric culture that would define much of the century. The 1920s saw the automobile transition from a luxury item to a necessity for many Americans. As car ownership increased, so did the need for infrastructure. This decade witnessed the rapid expansion of roads and highways, forever altering the American landscape and way of life. The Great Depression of the 1930s temporarily slowed the growth of car culture, but it also spawned innovations. Used car markets expanded, and auto camping became popular as a cheap vacation option. The car became not just a mode of transport, but a symbol of freedom and escape during hard times. World War II brought a temporary halt to civilian car production, but it also advanced automotive technology. The post-war economic boom of the 1950s saw a resurgence in car culture, with automobile ownership becoming a hallmark of the American dream. The 1950s marked the golden age of American car culture. Drive-in movies, restaurants, and suburban living all centered around the automobile. Car designs became more flamboyant, with tail fins and chrome reflecting the optimism and excess of the era. The interstate highway system, initiated in 1956, revolutionized long-distance travel and commerce. This massive infrastructure project not only connected the nation, but also deeply embedded car culture into the American way of life. The 1960s saw the rise of muscle cars and pony cars, appealing to a new generation of car enthusiasts. Models like the Ford Mustang and Chevrolet Camaro became cultural icons, representing speed, freedom, and rebellion. Car customization culture flourished in the mid-20th century. Hot rods and lowriders emerged as unique expressions of automotive creativity, often reflecting the identities and aspirations of various subcultures. The oil crises of the 1970s challenged America's car-centric lifestyle. Fuel efficiency became a priority, leading to the rise of smaller, more economical cars and the decline of the gas-guzzling behemoths of previous decades. Japanese automakers gained a foothold in the American market during the 1970s and 1980s, offering reliable, fuel-efficient alternatives to domestic brands. This shift would have lasting impacts on the American auto industry and consumer preferences. The 1980s saw a resurgence of automotive enthusiasm with the introduction of high-performance cars like the Chevrolet Corvette and Dodge Viper. Car shows and enthusiast meetups became increasingly popular, fostering communities around shared automotive passions. Environmental concerns began to shape car culture in the late 20th century. The introduction of catalytic converters and unleaded gasoline in the 1970s marked the beginning of efforts to reduce automotive pollution. The minivan, introduced in the 1980s, became a symbol of suburban family life. This versatile vehicle type reflected changing demographics and lifestyles, catering to the needs of baby boomer parents. Car racing, from NASCAR to drag racing, grew into a major spectator sport throughout the 20th century. These events celebrated speed and automotive engineering, further embedding car culture into American entertainment. The rise of car-centric suburbs in the post-war era dramatically reshaped American cities and lifestyles. Shopping malls, drive-through services, and expansive parking lots became common features of the urban and suburban landscape. Auto shows evolved from industry trade events to major public spectacles. Annual shows in cities like Detroit and Chicago became platforms for unveiling new models and concept cars, capturing the public imagination. The advent of in-car entertainment systems, from radio to 8-track players and eventually digital systems, turned cars into mobile entertainment centers. This trend reflected the increasing amount of time Americans spent in their vehicles. Car advertising became a major force in American media throughout the 20th century. Memorable campaigns not only sold vehicles but also shaped desires and aspirations, often reflecting and influencing broader cultural trends. The used car market grew alongside new car sales, making car ownership accessible to a broader range of Americans. The used car salesman became a cultural archetype, often portrayed in popular media. Drive-in theaters, peaking in popularity in the 1950s and 1960s, epitomized the intersection of car culture and entertainment. These venues offered a unique social experience that was quintessentially American. The rise of the RV, recreational vehicle, in the latter half of the century represented a new dimension of car culture, blending automotive technology with the American love for travel and the outdoors. Car clubs and enthusiast groups flourished throughout the 20th century, providing communities for like-minded auto enthusiasts. These groups often organized rallies, shows, and other events celebrating car culture. The evolution of auto safety features, from seat belts to airbags, reflected growing concerns about the dangers of widespread car use. These innovations saved countless lives but also changed the way Americans related to their vehicles. The popularity of road trips as a quintessential American experience grew throughout the century. Books like Jack Kerouac's On the Road romanticized the freedom of the open highway, deeply embedding car travel in American culture. Auto racing technologies often trickled down to consumer vehicles, with innovations in aerodynamics, engine design, and safety features first tested on the track before making their way to production cars. The rise of the SUV, sport utility vehicle, in the 1990s marked a significant shift in American car preferences. These vehicles combined the utility of trucks with the comfort of passenger cars, reflecting changing lifestyles and perceptions of safety. Car culture significantly influenced American music, from early blues songs about cars to the Beach Boys' celebration of hot rod culture and beyond. Cars often symbolized freedom, status, and rebellion in popular music. The advent of leasing and new financing options in the latter part of the century made luxury and high-end vehicles more accessible to middle-class Americans, changing perceptions of car ownership and status. Auto shops and mechanics became integral parts of American communities. The ability to work on cars was often seen as a valuable skill, and many Americans took pride in maintaining their own vehicles. The rise of traffic congestion in urban areas led to the development of complex freeway systems and attempts at urban planning centered around automotive transport, fundamentally shaping the growth of American cities. Car culture played a significant role in teenage social life throughout the century. From drive-in hangouts to cruising strips, cars provided spaces for youth socializing and courtship rituals. The introduction of electric cars towards the end of the 20th century hinted at future shifts in automotive technology and environmental consciousness, setting the stage for 21st century developments in sustainable transport. Fast food culture, with its drive-thrus and expansive parking lots, developed hand-in-hand with car culture. The ability to eat quickly without leaving one's vehicle became a uniquely American convenience. The development of GPS and navigation systems in the late 20th century began to change how Americans related to travel and geography, making long-distance road trips more accessible and reducing the romance and challenge of map reading. Car culture significantly influenced American architecture, from the design of homes with prominent garages to the development of service stations, motels, and other car-centric buildings. The customization of cars became a form of self-expression for many Americans. From bumper stickers to elaborate paint jobs, vehicles often served as canvases for personal and political statements. The rise of car-centric theme parks like Disneyland's Autopia reflected the central role of automobiles in American leisure and entertainment. The auto industry's labor movements, including significant strikes and unionization efforts, played a crucial role in shaping American labor rights and the middle class throughout the 20th century. As the century progressed, growing awareness of the environmental impact of car culture led to the development of emission standards and a gradual shift towards more fuel-efficient and less polluting vehicles. By the end of the 20th century, car culture had become deeply ingrained in the American psyche. The automobile was not just a mode of transportation, but a symbol of personal freedom, a rite of passage, and a key component of the American dream. It had shaped the nation's geography, economy, and social norms in profound ways. Looking back, the story of 20th century American car culture is one of innovation, freedom, and transformation. As we moved into the 21st century, new challenges and technologies began to reshape this culture once again. But the impact of a century of car-centric development continues to influence American life in countless ways. The legacy of this era serves as a testament to the central role that automobiles have played in shaping modern America.